Okay, we should be streaming to Facebook. Hello, everybody. It's Dan here with Radcliff. How you doing, Radcliff?
I'm doing great. How's everyone doing?
Oh, so good, mate. So good. Thank you for joining. I'm going to give a brief introduction to Radcliff, and then we're going to jump into some questions. If you guys are here watching live, give us a hashtag live in the comments section so we know where you are. I'm really excited because Radcliff joined the Passion Fighter community a few months ago. And to give you a little bit of background on who he is and the journey. So his name is Radcliff Durousseau. He's from Colorado, and he's the owner of Rad Muay Thai, and also the founder now of the RadBod app. So the RadBod app is a diverse collection of workouts utilizing various training methods to provide whole body functional training with minimal equipment. Now, that's a little bit about Radcliff. And before we jump into the questions, because I've got so much I'm dying to ask you, I want to show you guys I'm going to share my screen for a second that's going to summarize for you why I was so excited to speak with Radcliff and why you guys are going to get so much value from this today. So I'm sharing my screen right now. Radcliff, can you see that?
Yes.
Should see Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. So hopefully everyone can see that as well. This is the 15th of April when Radcliff shared inside our Passion Fighters community, which is, if anyone doesn't know, the community of over 1,500 experts like Radcliff who are launching their own apps and doing wonderful things, having really positive impact. And Radcliff said, I'm in such shock right now. I've loved the material provided, but I was cautiously skeptical. I just didn't know how this would work. Seeing people ring the bell and I couldn't imagine even getting 5 people signed up. I almost dreaded the potential rejection. We've all been there, my friend. After launching my challenge 4 days ago, I now have 11 people signed up. When I only asked for 6, I'm ringing the loudest bell right now. I can't believe how well everything came together and how people just couldn't say no. I had to open more spots. That is so, so cool. Radcliff, congratulations on all your success.
Yeah, it truly was shocking. I've tried, I've been in the business for a while. I own a physical location. I own a gym, and we're constantly trying to, you run specials, you try to get people in, you do all these different things. And, I thought I knew what I was doing. As I said, I've been in the business for a while, and I just started to lose faith in people to some extent, like they're just not going to do it, And then as I was going through the Expert Unleashed, the information provided was step by step, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Well, that's an interesting point. Okay, I can see that. And then getting to the scripting, I was like, well, let's try it. And then I posted the copied and pasted the post into Facebook, and I couldn't believe the engagement. So then the question, I have to ask myself, did I just know how to write a post? That, like, I thought my posts were kind of similar, and then boom, engagement, all this engagement, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what shakes out. I probably get a handful of people. They know, on Facebook, people know who I am, but it just kept pouring in. And then I talked to my wife, and I was like, I don't think I can take this many people. So then I set a deadline. Well, initially it wasn't moving as fast, and then I set a deadline, and then it was like people locking in.
Yeah.
Right. And then people called me after the deadline. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I set a deadline. I have to stick to it. But then there's the plea. I was like, okay. Let me take some more calls. It might mean, we may not be a good fit. But then I ended up taking everyone that I did the call with, and I ended up with 12. And then I had 2 or 4 more, and I said, guys, I'll have to catch you on the next round. I have to sort out how I'm gonna give 12 people the service that I want to give right now. And I was just shocked. The phone script, it was, I followed it, but then of course putting my own spin on it, that was shocking the way that script worked to turn people around. I've talked to people. I have people come in every day, and we're here to show them the product, which is the classes, and sell it, and we do a good job. But I never believed in online training. Never. It just wasn't something that I thought I was comfortable doing, number one. And number two, is just like, how do you sell that? And then I actually last year hired an online coach to tighten up some boxing techniques that I wanted to be clean as far as teaching boxing. And it worked out. I was like, okay, that could possibly work. And then I found Passion. And then again, just going through Expert Unleashed, I was skeptical through the first modules, but just like faith, I had faith, but I was skeptical because I've done things before that didn't shake out. And then I was like, wow, just every step of the way, it just got better and better, and everything worked. I couldn't believe it. It was very exciting. And I'm
That's so
excited for
awesome.
another challenge, actually. But yeah.
So awesome. Radcliffe, thank you so much. For those of you watching right now, first of all, we love to know who's here. So first of all, give us a hashtag live and let us know where you are in the world, like the nearest city. Don't give us like your village. We probably won't know if you live in a village where it is, but give us like the nearest city, hashtag live as well, so we know who's here. And we know that you can hear us well. So, and I see Vivian's here and Liam from the team, which is really cool. Vivian says, I agree. So many PTs think that online trainer is not ethical or possible. Yeah, 100%. There's a big false belief around that. So yeah, that's fantastic. And look, while I very much appreciate the kind words about the process, you know, Radcliffe, you did the work, right? You did the work and you've done incredible stuff. So my first question for you, and by the way, for those of you watching as well, please like drop your questions for Radcliffe in the chat, because we're here live. Radcliffe can answer your questions. If some of what he's just talking about is resonating with you, then ask questions, right? And share what's going on for you so we can engage. Okay, so Radcliffe, my first question to you is like, when you came on board, which was back in, I guess, was it like March or so this year?
Yeah, March.
Why was it the right time for you to launch an app?
Well, I had been working on it for years, to be honest. I had worked with a previous developer, I guess you would say, and we did an app for the gym, and it just was it was a really bad product, a really bad app, and it was a bad experience. And then, but I tried to branch to online, because the future of fitness is going to be a hybrid model for someone like me who still likes to have a physical facility, but you're gonna have to accept that online is gonna be the future, right? So the way to be successful would be this hybrid model. So I was like, well, how do I get into that? How do I? And I didn't believe in like taking online clients. How do I teach a class online? Stuff like that. So I started to create videos a few years ago, thinking that I'll just do it through a direct website, and that didn't really pan out. I couldn't figure out, coding as far as working with people to try to figure out how to charge a subscription and have people go to a website. And then even then it was brought up, well, apps, you have to use an app for that. That's the way to go. People use apps. And again, what you say in a lot of your material as far as the cost of working with developers and all that stuff. And then I just came across Passion. Actually, I think I ran a Google search, and then initially Passion came up, and I went to the website, and it was just the cost to build an app. And I was like, oh, that's not bad. I think so I was gonna sign up just to do it that way. And then the ads for Export Unleashed and all that stuff started popping up. And I was like, oh, this is the same website I was looking at before. And I said, well, let me take a look at what's going on here. And then, I kind of, again, good energy. I told you earlier, I liked your energy and everything. And I was like, oh, let me see what this guy has to say. And then it was like, you click in the thing and it's like, oh, schedule yourself for a presentation. Okay, I can listen to a presentation. So I listened to the presentation, and during the presentation, I'm hooked. And then boom, the deal hits, and I'm like, all right, I can't pass that. That's not even half of what if I was just to sign up through Passion directly to just have the app built. So I jumped on right then. And so then I've just been kind of trucking along ever since.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. So for those of you watching, I see some veteran passion fighters here. Leah from Houston, Kaza in Connecticut, Simon in Bristol, Sally in Scotland, Vivian in LA. I'm pretty jealous of the weather you're most likely getting right now. We're an international bunch, it turns out. Very nice. All right, so Radcliffe, when we reached out to you because we'd seen the success you were having and we wanted to talk to you and we saw that it could provide a lot of value to the community, one thing that you said you wanted to talk about was like the mindset to approaching like the Expert Unleashed challenge, like the mastering the mindset for success. Yeah. So what can you share about how you approached the Expert Unleashed challenge in terms of something that might also something that other passion fighters can learn from that and maybe implement into their own mindset?
Well, I would say that it's tough, and if you're in the space, and all the people in Passion, we're all in the space as far as fitness, and you provide a mindset to your client to begin with. So you have to kind of own that initially. You know, whether it be, you can't really have a fixed mindset. You have a growth mindset. You have to have and then you have to have, you know, you have to provide that motivation. But sometimes we struggle with motivation. And so there's a lot of things coming at us in the industry that promise things. And then outside of the industry, you're promised this, that, and the other. And so you to grow your business. Now, I grew a physical business first, and that was a journey and a struggle to make that successful. And then trying to branch out online, it's not like it was an immediate transfer, right? And so I consider myself to be knowledgeable from a business perspective. So sometimes that causes skepticism when I'm being told by other people what might work. And I've been burned by other, you know, like I said, developers, or even marketing things that I've paid for, different avenues I've tried. And so I've developed skepticism. I think we all kind of like, is this a scam? You know, does it, or even if you accept that it's not a scam, does it really work, right? And then how much effort will it take? And I think sometimes we want it to work, but we don't understand the effort. So you have to put yourself in a very aggressive mindset as far as accepting the effort that it'll take, and know that the work is going to be there. I even slipped during the whole process where I had such a great launch that I thought, man, once my app goes, it's going to be great. And then it didn't. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I was like, well, maybe I should look at these other videos that Dan's posted. And so I went through the marketing stuff where you're talking about like Instagram doesn't transfer, this doesn't transfer. And I was like, oh, I got to start from ground zero again to build up the app, you know, and that was rebuilding my mindset around that. So it's being able to really identify your slips and falls, and, you know, picking yourself up and understanding through a strong mindset, right? Or just a belief in yourself. Regardless, you have to just stay mindful of the effort that you will have to put into it if you believe in it. I was on a call with another passion fighter, and they basically were checking out, and there was no turning them around. But they admitted that they just weren't putting the effort in. They just weren't going to. They weren't going to have the time, and that was, you know, acceptance on their part of where they were, right? But if you really want it to work, I'll tell you this, from opening a physical gym to, you know, now having to rebuild a brand online, you have to have like a growth mindset, and that you're going to keep pushing, and that it's going to take that work, and it's going to be inch by inch. And that's what I mean. Like, you know, just because it didn't happen immediately, you quit, then it kind of, that's a reflection of your mindset, right?
Right. So. Right. Those of you watching who can relate to that struggle of like seeing progress and then like feeling either plateau or even feeling like you're going backwards, and then you need to regain that growth mindset that you can improve. If you can relate to that, give us a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, that is so me, I've totally been there, and 1 being like, that doesn't relate to me. Give us in the comments so we know where you guys are at. What I will say off the back of that, you know, for me, one of the things that drove me to found Passion was finding my own growth mindset in my previous company, and the reason I was able to find that was I actually spent a lot of time with advisors, investors, and colleagues, and team members, and different people who had this growth mindset that I hadn't really experienced before, and I sort of absorbed it, and it was such an inspiring. And that business ended up not working out, and I lost money, and I, in theory, lost time. And afterwards, I was still like super pumped. And when people asked me why, it was like this mindset that I'd adopted, that I can learn whatever I need to learn because I can grow. Like, where I am today is not where I'm going to be. It seems like such a simple thing, but that simple, like, where I am today is not where I'm going to be, and I am capable of improving myself, improving my situation. It's pretty rare, number one, and number two, I think it's one of the things that unites the passion fighter community, because so many people don't believe in creating something that doesn't exist today, and therefore they wouldn't embark on this journey. So yeah, I want to celebrate you for pushing through that, and like you say, not once but multiple times through the process.
Yeah, I mean, the name is so perfect. Like, passion. You have to be passionate. You have to be passionate. if it's just something you're trying, you can't try it. It's just not going to work. Number one, culture is key, right? And the culture revolves around your passion of the subject. You got to create a culture with the people that you bring into your brand and the people that use your brand. But you have to be passionate about what you're giving them and what you're showing them, what you're teaching them, because it comes across when you speak. You know, again, I go back to the energy I get from you when I see you speak. I get excited because you know you see the passion. And so trust me, anyone who's shooting videos, you know this. When you started shooting your videos, there were some awkward videos where you're like, it doesn't quite trend, you know, and it's because you probably weren't in it at that moment, right? And so you have to, that passion has to translate at all times. And you know, you can have an off day, that's all right. But if you're passionate about it, it'll come across. And so you really got to take hold. And that's what I'm saying. The person I was speaking to openly admitted that they just did not have that passion anymore. So, and that's a good thing. That's a good to identify that and be able to say, okay, I need to step back right now. But another thing I preach is, you know, you got to pick yourself up quick. You're in an opportunity and you're telling yourself now's not the time. That's why now's not the time. You know, you got to make it. You got to make it the time. You know, what do you need right now to really turn it around, dust yourself off, and really just keep moving forward? Here, when I teach fight, because I train fighters as well, when I tell them, you know, it starts out where, you know, we take, you know, fighting, they take a beating and they get down on themselves, and you know, I've had people cry. We're grown men, we're crying, we're bleeding, or you know, you're all hurt. And I was like, okay, take a moment, respect it, acknowledge what you're going through right now, and then pick yourself up and let's go. Like I tell them, you get one round. You can have a bad round, that's okay, but I will not allow you to have a bad day, right? It starts out, oh, I had a bad day. Why does it have to be the whole day? Why can't you have a bad round? Why can't you have a bad moment? I love to think of moments. I say, I can have a bad moment. I can have a bad interaction, or, you know, just whatever. Why does it have to take over my whole day? You know, and then by extension, my week, my month, and now I don't want to do passion. You know, no, come on, man. You know, learn to really turn it quick. And that takes practice. That's like anything else. That's not something that we're born with. And depending on the way you were raised, that's not something that comes easy. You have to decide that you're going to train that skill like anything else. And I think that's what made it easy for me. It's not easy. I'm still doing it, guys. Like, I'm still sorting this out, and I'm excited at the process of it.
Yeah. Wow. So guys, watching this right now, I want to know, do you want me to, I can go in two directions here. I can dig into the high moments, okay, of the EUC with Radcliffe, and I can dig into the low moments, because we've all had them both. So just write in the comments high or low, because the high moments, we're going to learn, we're going to get inspired, right? We're going to see like a potential future for ourselves, and that's going to drive us forward. If it's low moments, it's going to acknowledge that when we're going through tough moments, other people are as well, and actually it's normal, and there's a way through it, right? Through the other side. So is it high moments? Is it low moments? Just write like high or low in the comments section right now. And because we have like about a 20-second delay on going live, I'm going to ask you a question in the meantime, which is, what would you say was your biggest epiphany or aha moment as you went through the process?
I think it was when I was nearing the end of the Expert Unleashed challenge. And then I was like, when it all started to culminate, like all the modules started to really just line up as far as like, okay, now here's what you're supposed to do with all this information I gave you. Go out and post this and make these phone calls. And I was like, because at first I was like, okay, what is this leading to? What does this have to do with an app, right? Because I'm like, I'm supposed to be building an app. What is this challenge? I was getting lost a little bit, and I'm, you know, like, not tooting my own horn, I'm, you know, pretty savvy, but it kind of lost me, and I was just like, wait a minute, can I just go to build my app? Do I have to do this? And the aha moment was at the end, in the last few modules. You know, okay, on this day, make your phone call. On this day, here's your script. And then as I slowly followed that process, like I said, it was just cashing in, you know. And then I was like, this is how you do it. You know, this is how you, information like Calendly and stuff like that. I didn't know about stuff like that. So, okay, this is how you book a bunch of calls, have a quick conversation. And then I was able to take those skills into working with 12 people, not 6, not 5, 12 people simultaneously over like conference calls. My app was not built at the time. So the first 3 weeks I had to like do it like this and train people like this. But I don't know, I just felt prepared. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but that moment came at the end of the challenge, and I really understood my purpose, right? My purpose of going through all of that. Like, this is what it was all for, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Tell me, like, after you went through that process, and then you had these 12 clients, and it all made sense about why you were getting them, and you started working with them, and then of course you're learning from them and you're getting feedback. And tell me how the process of working with real paying clients fed into your ability to build an effective app.
Oh my gosh. So that was one of the things I was so skeptical about. I didn't understand it quite, the whole have a paying client pay you while you build an app. It was a nice, it's a nice pitch, and I'm like, come on, man, and then I started to do it, and I was like, okay, give me your feedback, and then sending them the surveys. And then we had a conference call. I booked a conference call because I had to start doing them in groups, because individually meeting with 12 people was not going to happen. I wasn't going to be able to give them the best, right? I started to get drained by the 12th one. So I just said, would you guys create a group? Is that okay? And everyone's like, yeah. And then they loved doing it as a group. And we had a Facebook group, and we did Facebook conference calls, and we did Facebook food calls. And then that's how they gave me feedback. And then when the app was built, they were able to switch over to using the app and then tell me, okay, Rad, this is freezing. Oh, Rad, you should explain this. So yeah, I think that having them give me feedback, and then again, what was crazy was they had paid me to train them, and they kind of brought that up. They were like, well, we're helping you as well. I said, well, yeah, I made that very clear from the beginning. I told them I was in a learning process, but I'm going to be training you. And there was no issue there. They gave me some great feedback, and they just were very positive at the end. I had one of them telling me how she got off of diabetes medication. I mean, after 6 weeks with me, like, that was awesome. Some people put some Facebook posts up, and that really, that touched, man. That's to know that as they were helping me, I was helping them, and they paid me. So it all just this perfect storm,
Boom. I love to hear that, because the reason for me why, I was saying earlier about, like, I was surrounded by these inspiring people and I adopted a growth mindset. That's the reason for me behind the mission of Passion, of like, if I give a platform to people like you can inspire others. And like, if I've in any way helped you, and if our team have in any way helped you get in front of those people so you can do your magic, then like, that's delivering on our mission as well. And I absolutely love that. So cool. So everyone in the chat, including Simon and Kaza and Liam and Laura, is all up for the high moments. Okay, so guys watching this right now, like, give us just a scale of 1 to 10. Like, 1 being I've heard it all before, not getting any value whatsoever. 10 being like, oh my god, this is like mind-blowing stuff. Give us a scale so I know how much value you're getting from this conversation. And post your questions, right? Like, if you are earlier in the process than Rad, or maybe you're even at the same stage or later, but there's something he's talking about that's triggering a question for you, then pop it in the comments, and I'll make sure that we get to them as well. So everyone's after the highlights, all right? So Radcliffe, what was, like, can you think back to the moment where you were bouncing off the walls, like crazy happy, maybe like telling your wife something? Like, can you remember a specific moment that you can share with everyone, and why?
Yeah, I'll give you 2. So one was again, after I got 12 people signed up and paid, and it was like, wow, this is amazing. And then, again, I still had people contacting me wanting to get in, and I was like, well, I'll have to like do another one, guys. I'm really sorry. I have to sort out how I'm going to train these 12 people. So that was a high. And I remember my wife coming up when I was in my office, and she was just like, I said, honey, I just got 12 people. She's like, oh my God. And I said, no, paid. Like, they just paid. And so it was awesome. If you guys understand, like, gyms took a hit. Everyone knows that. And this is why this is huge right now. But we took a hit. And so my wife got laid off. So we were trying to sort out a lot. Where does this go? What do we do? I didn't want to lose my school. You have savings, but you don't want to deplete that too, because you don't know how long this whole thing was going to be. So it wasn't dire, but it was concerning. Okay. And then suddenly 12 people pay you almost $300, there. And you're like, wow, Now I will be honest, what I ended up doing, and I don't know if this is a bad thing, but I'm going to kind of do it as this positive and as cautionary. So I didn't want to scare people off because we were right at the height of isolation and I didn't know where people's finances were. So I did a 50-50. I had them pay me half up front, but shockingly, 4 people just wanted to pay the whole thing. And that was awesome because they were like, let me just pay you. I don't want to have to worry about paying you at the end. So I know that the modules or Expert Elite has to take it at the end, right? I believe. So I just said, well, just so you're committed, because I have other people waiting, let me lock you in with a deposit. Give me half. So they gave me half. And then 4 people paid total. And then at the end, the rest paid. I did have 2 though. I won't say they stiffed me at the end. Things happened and they couldn't finish the 6 weeks. So basically I was like, okay, well, you got what you paid for. You got about halfway there. So that did happen. So maybe my wife was like, well, maybe you should make everyone pay up front. So that's something to consider, guys. It was easy to get 12 people to commit to like $150 like that. Because okay, and I have 6 weeks to get you the other. Absolutely, because they're excited about where they're going to be in 6 weeks. But on the flip side, then other people are like, then it might be where they're like, wow, I'm not going to finish. But at least in the training world, that's not abnormal. You do require something up front, and if you don't show up for your sessions, you owe me something, or no, we just don't finish our relationship. So that's something I wanted to kind of bring up and say that was something that I encountered. The second high was when my app was finally on Apple and Google Play. It was like, boom, putting videos together. Let's get this out there. And I had an initial spike, which I was excited about, initial downloads, and everyone's, your friends are texting you. It's exciting. And then you're getting feedback and they're trying the workouts. And so that was like, man, I can compare the 2 were like this. Financially, the challenge was like this. The app we're still figuring that out. And that's the journey though.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, for you, Rad, I know we were speaking before this about Expert Freedom, and for those watching, we have a follow-on training to the Expert Unleashed Challenge. So EUC is all about getting your first 10 to 15 high-paying clients and building out your first version of your app. That's what Radcliffe's done. Expert Freedom is about taking that up to 100 high-paying clients that are also paying on repeat. So not just a one-time thing, but a monthly thing. And the idea is that each of those 100 clients pays on average about $80 per month. When you do the maths, that's about 100K a year. So that's what the next training is to help you guys to get to. We're running it right now inside a Facebook group as like our first pancake, our first version of it. And so because it's our first version, we're giving it away for free to people who've done the Expert Unleashed Challenge only. So that's the only criteria. And we also ask that you give us feedback, right? So we can make it better. So Radcliffe, like definitely the links inside the Passion Fighters group.
Yes, I just joined that group, so I'm excited about that. So thank you for
fantastic. Okay, nice. So we're on day 10 today, and we're skipping weekends. So day 11 is going to be on Monday, and the group are doing amazing things. So you guys definitely should get involved. Jose is saying, love it. I totally relate. I love that. Leah is saying good feedback on the payment strategies. Thank you. And Simon says, how far along are you now? Maybe Simon, we'll get to that question in a second. Maybe you could clarify what you mean by how far along, like in terms of building the app, in terms of clients, and like what maybe you can make that question a little bit more specific. Okay, nice. And then anyone else who has questions, pop them in there as we draw towards the end of this session, so we make sure we have time for them. Let's have a look here. So we have been through the high moments, but I actually do want to go into the tough moments because I think that we can all relate to that as well. Can you think of a specific moment in the Expert Unleashed Challenge where you thought to yourself like, maybe I'm not going to carry on, or like maybe you had some limiting beliefs internally, maybe you had some external struggles? What was the toughest moment for you?
I think so when you are in this industry, when everyone like, as I'm out and I talk to people and they find out what you do for a living, right? It's, oh, I should train with you. Oh, I should learn, that, and every trainer knows that conversation, right? And that they're never gonna, I don't want to say never, but odds are they're not gonna reach out to you, right? It's either they're placating you, they're being polite, or they want to, but then they're kind of like, half in, half intimidated. Whatever the case, it doesn't always turn over. Okay, so for a long time, I've lived around the world, actually. That we really didn't go into my background, but I'm a military brat, and then I ended up in Colorado, but I've lived all over. And so I've met a lot of great people, and people reach out to me on Facebook, and that's what's great about Facebook, on top of what we're doing right here, is the ability to kind of connect with people, right, around the world. And then they're like, I wish I lived in your area, is what I constantly hear. I wish I lived in your area, Rad, I'd come to your gym. So then the app just became, I thought that all these people have been talking to me for years. I was like, guys, look, I created this app and you've been wanting to train with me. Now you can. And then they didn't, And so it was kind of like, it was expectation versus like reality. And then it was just a reality check as far as, okay, well now you got in the work. I basically, I'm going to compare that to the marketing, I didn't say module, but where you were explaining how one of those Instagram people who had millions of followers, right? And it didn't translate. And, because I have a decent following and I have a decent YouTube following. I have a physical gym, and I just thought I'd see more. And you were spot on. It doesn't translate. You still now have to go get customers for this new product or brand, right? And so that was a low point. I think that was the only one I remember, because man, when I was doing the challenge, I was firing through that. When I was building the app, I was too excited to like have a low point. I was just firing through that, and that was the low point. It was like, I should have known, because it was the same thing when I opened my gym. I left a big gym that I was running, and it was running into the ground. And I opened my location. People were like, "Rad, we're gonna go with you," and they didn't. And I didn't. I was like, "How am I gonna pay rent?" And so then I had to go out and find people. And so and so I've been through that before, and you would think that I would know, but again, it's just, you got to relearn things. But what I did better than last time is just pick myself up quicker.
Right? That's a really interesting parallel to draw, and I'd never thought about it that way, but I can totally see that it's basically the same thing that's happening in the offline world happening online. And what I try to equip you and this community with is something that is actually incredibly hard, and like we're all on a learning trajectory for this, myself included, is that we have to learn how to get people to take action, right? We have to, and like you say, people probably actually have the best intentions when they say, oh, I want to train with you, whether that's online or offline. But the reality is, we all have 24 hours in the day. We all have a certain amount of money. We all have, a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of stresses and commitments. And like, taking action to do something over and above what we're doing day to day in our lives is a huge, huge deal. And in order for you as a trainer, as an expert, someone running an app, or anyone in the online or offline world whose job it is to get people to take action, that's super tough. And so really my job, the way I see it, is that I need to equip you with the ability to convert people from inaction to action. And that happens both in terms of acquiring the customers in the first place and getting them to actually use this thing and get success with it, because people are a lot more flippant with their money than they are with their time. So a lot of the time people think once they purchase, job's done, they're going to be, but actually you really have to get them to do the work as well, right? So to draw this to a close, there's 2 questions here in the chat I want to get to, and then I have one more question for you. Marina said, did you charge for the app right after the challenge with your first 12 clients? Did you offer them a trial? How much did you charge for the app? How did you deal with that?
Okay, so that's a good question. Now, they had it free during the challenge. And then Passion actually explains to you how to go in and activate them on the app so they can have it for free. I warned them that at the end of the challenge, I was going to deactivate them and they would have to go in and actually subscribe to the app directly. So that's how I handled that. I underpriced my app, and now I'm dealing with that right now. I got little, I've used training apps before, and so I thought, oh well, if I'm nobody, why would I charge, more than $9.99 when Chris Hemsworth charges $7.99 and he's Thor. You know what I mean? So I kind of got scared, and then I saw something that Dan posted about like, no, that's not what you should do. You need to price up. And so that's something I'm doing as I'm going through this process. So you have to look at what you're providing versus, someone else, and not try to compare yourself to them, because I'm not competing with them. And that's what I didn't get through my head. So yes, I did not charge them during, but they had to subscribe and pay for the app after. I did have a couple that elected to continue with me. They asked if they can give them like an online training package of some kind. I had to figure it out with as far as what kind of time I had, because they, wanted to continue the journey. So there were some that wanted to stick around.
Got
so
it.
yeah,
got it.
I think those two got the app, still have the app for free, but they're paying me as an online trainer. So
I've got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And so Radcliffe, and also those watching, what, as you say about pricing up, what we're recommending Expert Freedom is charging between $50 and $200 per month, which might sound like a lot, but you have to price it from the perspective of the value people are receiving, right? And so, if you're helping someone, for example, I don't know, learn piano, what value does that have in their life? If you're helping them gain a higher level of consciousness, what value does that have in their life? Rather than thinking, well, if a Netflix subscription costs $10, then maybe mine is worth $2, right? Like
that's exactly
not,
yeah.
Right, exactly. And I get it, man. It's like, it's totally, it's the natural way to think, but in the end, it's called value pricing, price based on the value people receive, and that's really the smartest way to do it. Okay, so the final question from the chat here, and then I'm going to ask my final question, is how many weeks past the EUC are you, and how are you getting on with new clients and keeping them on subscription?
Let's see. I finished my challenge middle of June. I picked up 11 subscribers through the app directly since then, but that's they just subscribe. I'm not putting them through any kind of training. And right now, I'm in the process of starting the Expert Freedom and building back up from there.
Got it.
I'm sorry, what was the second? Was there a second part to that question?
No, I think that's it. Oh yeah, those 11 people, have they kept on the subscription, or do you see people dropping off?
They actually subscribed when I was launched in the Apple Store at the end of May, and they've been subscribed for a couple months already.
Okay, cool.
So that's cool.
And nice.
Then I got to contact them because we're gonna look at the pricing structure and everything. And I'm about to start another challenge. I had to step away, guys, for a little bit because we were reopening my physical location after we start to lift regulations here in Colorado, restrictions, excuse me. And so, shockingly, not shockingly, I knew it was going to happen, but as soon as we reopened our doors, we had 100% growth fit in my physical location. So like we doubled our business here. So I had to shift there. So that just, if anyone is in that space, there's a little extra. I think, as much as people are like, well, I'm not going back to the gym. I think you're about 50-50. But I'm in a different space, guys. I teach martial arts, I teach Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, stuff like that. So that's a specialty kind of thing. People aren't going back to gyms. That's where the apps are going to come in. Like fitness-wise, I think more people will be staying home and want that training. And that's where the app is an extension for the fitness. I did not open my fitness classes here, but my martial arts classes doubled. And that's because I think when people are isolation, they come out like, I want to do this. I've always wanted to. Now's the time. And so I'm excited about that. So now I'm shifting back to the online because now I have the fitness people that I need to take care of.
Okay. Wow, fantastic. That's great news. Really cool. Well done. All right, good. So hopefully that answers your question, everyone. Everyone's getting a ton of value in the chat, which makes me very, very happy.
Awesome.
My final question for you is, imagine you're walking down the street. You've probably heard me ask this before. You're walking down the street and they say, oh, Radcliffe, I saw you on that thing last night with Dan. I was also thinking about joining Passion, creating an app, doing the challenge. But I'm a bit skeptical, right? As you say, people think, is it a scam? Like, how does it all work? So if you were speaking to that person right now, what would you tell them?
Trust, effort, achievement, right? Trust that it'll work if you apply the proper amount of effort, and then you will achieve what you want. It is that simple. You got to trust it. And if you trust it, you will put the effort, but what I'm saying is without the effort, there's no achievement, right? And without the trust, then that's where the skepticism comes into play, right? And you may be skeptical at first, but trust it down the line. It's going to make sense if you continue to put the effort. So trust, effort, and achievement.
Oh my word. I'm immediately writing that down, of course, because I'm always looking for frameworks, right? And what I love about that is that you first have to trust it to put in the effort, as you say, so that's step one. If you don't trust, you will never do the effort that's required, right? And I love that. So it's about we have something about inspire, clarity, expectation, and it's a little bit similar. I mean, the expectation thing is something separate, but inspire means you first have to inspire someone to take action, because even if you give them the best information in the world, they're not going to be successful. Right. And then clarity is about giving them the exact steps, right? Right. And that's on the other side of the coin. That's effort. You have to put the effort in to do the steps. I love that. Okay. Thank you so much. Rebecca said, that's so cool. Yes, it is. Radcliffe, thank you so much. It's been inspiring to see your journey. I'm really excited to see how you get on with Expert Freedom as well, because what I always love is when someone's like a hardcore executor, they put in the work, and you absolutely did that through the challenge. So when you go through Expert Freedom, I'm expecting to get you back on this in a couple of months' time and be talking about your scaling towards 100K and beyond. So I'm very excited for you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. All right.